Welcome to the first day of the rest of your life. You out there in YouTube land or on Facebook or on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you happen to be listening to us. Greetings and welcome to another episode of Vancouver Real. My name is Andy Zaremba. And if you'd like to connect with me personally, you can go to andyzaremba.com for all of your Andy Zaremba needs. Or just Instagram or Twitter, although I don't use Twitter. But with me behind the helm today, as usual, is my brother Mike.
What's going on, everybody? I'm really happy to be here today. I just want to say I feel fucking awesome. I've been in ketosis for the last week or so, a little bit over, and I've never done it before. Like I was saying to you before the show, my creativity's coming back, my stability. Like, I don't know, it's very interesting to experience.
Ketogenic diet is great. I've done it a couple times. I did it for about almost 2 months at the beginning of the year. Really helped with weight loss, but the best thing about it was just minimizing cravings. Mm-hmm. That was huge,
big time.
And I think you don't have to eat as much because you are burning your body's fats, right? So it's like and I got a little extra energy that could be burned.
Hey,
right?
You're ready for some sort of apocalyptic.
Exactly.
Scenario.
Well, I will survive longer in a situation.
Hey, man,
if something goes down, I can eat off my own body. So.
That's right. No, man, a great show is called Alone on the History Channel, and they go and have to survive for as long as possible, and it's like legit. It's really real. That's survival. And they purposely husk up before because they know they're going to become emaciated because sometimes they go 60, 70, 80, 90 days out.
They're definitely in ketosis.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. It's the coolest show.
They're in a fast, and that's the other thing too is the fasting, right? The fasting and intermittent fasting or longer fasts. Like I've done a 3-day one before. Mm-hmm. I'd like to go a little longer because by day 3 of the fast, I found that I was actually past the not feeling so good couple days. Like the first 2 days weren't so great. First day, very hazy, low energy. Second day, kind of irritable, I guess hangry would be a good term, but just not feeling super good and I couldn't do a lot of work. And by day 3, all that went away. Yeah. And I was just I felt clear. I felt like I had tons of energy. It felt amazing. I really enjoyed that. And I think it'd be cool to extend that out for a few more days. And apparently there's all sorts of benefits for doing a longer fast as well. I've heard that it'll go and start, your body will start breaking down and consuming unhealthy cells that are damaged or something.
That happens within 16 hours of fasting.
Is that right? Oh, so that if you did and I used to do a fast every Monday. I used to do a 24-hour fast every Monday. So within that time frame, that's good because that's part of the awesome benefit of it, right?
Yeah.
But anyways,
we'll
we're getting way.
But we will be talking into this kind of stuff shortly with our guest today because this is kind of part of his niche, anyways, in terms of health and wellness. But firstly, we are podcasting here at a float house at 70 West Cordova Street in downtown Vancouver, BC, Canada. For anyone that's listening abroad. We'd love to see you here. Come and experience flotation therapy, also known as sensory deprivation tanks, which is a very unique environment where you go into a big pod, a big tank with 10 inches of water. We super saturate that with 1,000 pounds of Epsom salts, so pharmaceutical grade Epsom salts. So you're floating effortlessly. It's actually 3 times as dense as the Dead Sea. And we heat the water to the same temperature as the surface of your skin. Also inside the tank, it's pitch black. And you don't hear anything, you don't see anything, you don't feel anything because you're kind of floating in this skin neutral solution. It's a very unique environment, and it's all about maximal sensory reduction. And in essence, this has a very, very calming effect on your central nervous system. You get a plethora of different benefits, and it's also an amazing environment for meditation. Like if you meditate, maybe using the Muse app or even just on your own in a Vipassana style or whatever you may do, bring your meditation practice into a float tank because it will just accelerate it into a whole nother...
And enhance it and deepen it.
Absolutely.
To the point where you hear voices in your head. Or maybe that's just me. Yeah. But on my float yesterday, I was very tired going into it, which I find makes it for a really good float because you fall into that theta brainwave state. And it was great. I was having flashes of imagery, dreamlike imagery. Totally. I was hearing audio. I love when I have floats like that because it's just so interesting.
Well, you're starting to go into the dreamscape, yet remain conscious. And that's the whole little trick with floating. That's the practice. You want to be able to get to that depth in terms of your brain waves and then but hold in there and not just go unconscious, not just fall asleep. So that's kind of the practice of it. And that takes a little, it's a skill set. It is something that takes a few shots for sure. So anyways, use the promo code Vancouver Real and save 20% on a single float. And we'd love to see you here, floathouse.ca.
Awesome. And I'm going to talk about two things really quick, and that would be, first off, Man Talks. And in fact, our guest, Luckie, which I'll get into in just a minute, might be even speaking at an event in January if we can iron it all out and make sure everything all aligns. But Man Talks is an awesome community for men and women, because women are totally welcome at the events. And we just basically dive into conversations that are important to men and men's issues. And the idea is like developing healthy masculinity or healthy men's empowerment and what that looks like in this day and age. And it's a super positive community, usually attracts a lot of entrepreneurs, networkers, just people out there who are positive and want to create something and build something for themselves. So that's Man Talks. We should have several events coming up this fall. I haven't exactly locked them in yet, but I have talked to all the speakers. We're good to go. And we're probably going to launch the next one in August. So stay tuned for that. And lastly is Mindful Mass Meditation. We just did a Mindful Mass event at City Hall, and it was amazing. We had about 100 people show up for that one, and we did a free yoga class and meditation led by Carol Ann Budgell. And I believe the first time we met was at a Mindful Mass. Is that correct? And that was like at the beach.
Yeah, it was on like Sunset English Bay.
Yeah, Sunset Beach.
That was epic.
That was the biggest crowd that we've drawn. We plan on doing another event probably in August, or definitely by the equinox, the fall equinox. So stay tuned for that as well. But just if you would like to link up with that community, go to Mindful Mass Meditation Mob and type that in the Facebook, join the Facebook group, and then you'll get notified. Or you can go to mindfulmass.org, which is, you can enter your email address and then get connected to the email list so you don't miss any events.
Cool.
So today, this came about pretty spontaneously and quickly, and I was thinking about cranking off a few episodes because I'm actually heading down to Peru on the 13th, so I want to build up a little content before we went away. And I'm like, who could we bring on? And you showed up on my Instagram feed, and I was like, oh okay. So Luckie Sigouin.
Sigouin.
Pretty close. Not bad. Sigouin. Like that's not bad for me for like a name that I butcher names all the time. So
it's a hard one.
Anyway, welcome to Vancouver Real.
Thank you guys for having me.
So you've been like all in and around Vancouver doing like the Instagram, and you've been really working on becoming like an influencer, but you have an interesting niche. And why don't you start off by telling us about like what your niche is on Instagram and what you're promoting and what you're all about?
So my niche on Instagram would be plant-based fitness.
Right.
Just to show people that you can perform on a plant-based diet, that you can accomplish amazing things. And I also want to touch on the aspect that it's not only for athletic performance, even for health and just life in general. Some people that have diseases that are sick, you can cure that. I don't want to, not a claim, but some people have seen benefits from eating a plant-based diet in their life.
I've heard about that before.
Yeah.
I've heard it can be an awesome way to combat certain ailments. And again, it's not like we're going to say that's a miracle cure that's going to cure everything. But it does seem like a pretty healthy alternative. Like I've played with vegan before. I've gone vegan before. I've gone all organic. I definitely feel like a bit called to go more plant-based. Like we were talking about before the show, as like I'd like to get off of and like minimize animal protein and like go more plant-based. And part of it is like, I've been training my whole life. I've been exercising and lifting weights since I was 15 up until the age of 39. And we were so conditioned back then to think like, okay, you got to consume tons of protein, right? Yeah. And that was sort of the mentality. And in certain circumstances that can be effective and can put on muscle mass. But right now I'm like, well, I'm not playing football anymore. I don't need to be the Hulk. I want to be fit. I want to be healthy. I actually want to maximize my own personal longevity.
Yeah.
And I feel like the plant-based diet could be a good option.
Yeah, it's definitely being used for the anti-inflammatory purposes.
Right.
There's a lot of benefits to the plants, and definitely, it kind of falls hand in hand with, we were talking about man talks, right? Masculinity, that it's manly to eat meat, that if you don't eat meat, you're not manly. That's definitely like a big phase that I went through at first.
Interesting.
When I went vegan, I was 240 pounds. I was a power lifter. I could deadlift 600 pounds. I was big.
Yeah.
And then for me making that shift, my surroundings was like, you eat 12 eggs for breakfast, you eat 3 chicken breasts every 2 hours.
Yeah.
So those were my group of friends. And when I went vegan, they didn't understand it. And I definitely got bullied.
Did you get pushed back when you went vegan?
Oh, definitely. 100%. Even like by my family too, because it was like, we don't get it. We're farmers. Like, we've killed chicken together.
Well, this is really interesting, man. Yeah. So like, why did you make that big shift then?
So it's not for the reason that most people think of, is it wasn't to like be healthier or for the animals. I did it to get skinny. Okay. So I had a buddy that was a fitness model that was signed with an agency back home in Ottawa. Yeah. He's like, hey, you should try modeling. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Well, eventually I met up with the agent and she was like, hey, if you lose a little bit of weight, we'll see what we can do. So I started cutting down, still eating meat. And then I started booking more jobs, and I thought I could get paid for people to take pictures of me. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Right.
And then I was looking at the types of diet that would allow me to have a modeling physique, and vegan came up. And I really wanted to model at the time. So when I have my mind set on something, I'll do whatever I need to get there.
Sure.
So vegan came up. I was like, I'm going vegan.
Interesting.
So like technically cold turkey, the next day I went vegan.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how old are you now?
I just turned 25.
25. Yeah. So, and when did you go vegan?
Around 20. So you've
been doing it for 5 years now. Oh, amazing, man. Well, that's quite the transformation.
It has, yeah. I lost 80 pounds my first year.
Wow.
But I was on purpose. Like, I wasn't lifting weights. I stopped lifting weights. I was just doing cardio, and I was eating just fruits and veggies. So basically went raw vegan to lose as much muscle mass because I couldn't fit in the clothes.
Yeah.
But after a year, and then when I got out of the industry, I was like, oh my God, like I have so much energy. I feel a lot better. Like, it has to be a smarter way for me to eat.
Yeah.
So I did my research, and then
I just want to say real quick, I'm glad you're being really honest about why you did it, because it's very easy that you could have done like a virtue signal of, well, it was for the animals or the environment. Granted, these are definitely reasons, and maybe do influence you now, but like, just acknowledging actually I did it purely just to change my body type.
Yeah, I was purely aesthetic at first, definitely.
Right. That's really cool, man. So you touched on it briefly, but what are some of the biggest benefits you've noticed by changing your diet this way?
Clarity of mind, clarity of thoughts, like mucus buildup in your nose. I never realized that I had that. The best way to put it is that I thought I felt good, but I didn't realize that there was a whole other level of how good I could feel. Because I've been, I was raised on meat and on dairy and all that. And once I cut it out, that's when I saw the difference. I was like, oh, I can actually feel better. Like, I don't have a hard time breathing. I don't have digestive problem. Like, my acne went away, and my energy went up. Like, there was a lot of benefits when I cut it out. But it took me a year to get used to it, because I went from eating, like 2 pieces of steak and potatoes and a little bit of broccoli to having massive salads that have like 40 grams of fiber with some beans. It took a whole year for my stomach to get used to the amount of fiber and the food that I was eating. I was literally bloated for a whole year.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's I never really thought about that element of it, of like your body needing to adapt to so much leafy greens and like
so much fiber. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, do you know any of the details around that? Like, what's happening in there? Like, what does your body need to produce more of to to deal with that? Or
I don't know what it needs to produce more of, but I know that from doing like hydrocolon cleanses and therapies like that, is like the meat like gets stuck right on your intestine tract. And so I feel like with over time, like with the fiber, I got to clear a lot of that out.
Right.
And I feel like that's what made a difference in like me not being bloated anymore. I think that's why it took a year to trying to clean up my system with the amount of fiber that I was eating.
Wow.
I've heard that helps with nutrient absorption as well.
Definitely. Yeah. Your body's be able to absorb a lot more than what it used to if like everything's clean, right?
Right.
Your gut health impacts everything.
Definitely, man. So like now you switched to being vegan and eating a plant-based lifestyle, but you've also shifted because you want to train and exercise and be fit as well.
Yeah.
So why don't we start there about with your own personal diet? Like, how do you incorporate plant-based diet yet still be able to do things like put on muscle mass?
First was to get rid of the mindset that you need a lot of protein to gain muscle mass.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I've done an experiment. After I lost my 80 pounds, I went down to 160 pounds. I'm 6'3" right now. So I was fairly skinny. I looked like a 12-year-old boy, right? That's what they wanted for modeling. So that's what happened. Right. But once I got out of the industry, I was like, I want to gain a little bit more muscle mass, but I'm going to do it on 50 grams of protein a day. So just 50 grams of protein a day. So I wasn't taking any protein powder or anything like that. I was just eating whole foods and see what would happen. Like I might have failed. It could have failed, and I could have stayed skinny.
Right.
But I managed to go up to 200 pounds within a period of like 8 months.
Wow. Cool.
And
how often were you lifting then, or what was your training like?
Like 3-4 times a week.
Okay.
Yeah,
but doing like a upper body, lower body break.
Yeah,
like
typical bodybuilding workout, because that's all I knew. I do believe that there's a lot of muscle mass memory from that. That's why I was able to gain so much after.
Sure.
But still on 50 grams of protein a day. If
50,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I do remember from my kinesiology days is that we literally did in my one nutrition course, like the math around how much protein you can actually absorb.
Yeah.
Say after like a lifting workout, and it was. I remember for myself, it was approximately about 10 grams or 12 grams of protein. It's actually what you could actually use.
Yeah.
Your body could ingest and actually use for protein synthesis. And anything above and beyond that was like not really going to be used for protein synthesis.
But that's just like one time though, right? Your body can process.
Correct. So let's say
you could do 12 grams like multiple times throughout the day.
But I could see how if you're doing like say 10 gram pops throughout 5 of them throughout the day for 50 grams. How that would definitely be supportive for protein synthesis.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't counting on like when I was eating it. I was just counting overall for the day. But like from the bodybuilding world, you can absorb 30 grams of protein every time. Which, to be honest, like protein synthesis isn't that big if you're.
It depends on your size. Depends on your size.
Yeah.
And it depends what other supplements you might be taking.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
You know? Yeah.
Right.
Vitamin S.
A little vitamin S in the diet. Yeah, but. That's interesting, man. So why don't we talk about like what is your typical diet like? So like walk us through like a few days of your normal eating habits.
I'm pretty boring when it comes to that. Pretty much eat the same thing every day.
Right.
So in the morning I'll have like a scoop of chocolate hemp protein. I'll have some spinach, some kale in there. I'll throw like 2-3 bananas, some frozen blueberries for some antioxidants. I'll get some alkaline water in there, and I'll just blend that up and add some ice. Maybe make it like a liter and a half of smoothie. I'll drink that, wait 45 minutes, and then go train for 2 hours. Come back, pretty much have the same smoothie again, and then maybe like 3 hours after, I'll either go to Body Energy Club, get a customized acai bowl. So,
nice.
Yeah, so a lot of fruits basically on my diet right now. Like I'll swap the granola for cacao nibs to get more antioxidant and get more healthy fats. If not, you can make so many things. Like during the day, I eat pretty much like acai bowls, smoothies. I'll make like some sandwiches, some salads with like obviously a ton of avocados, some sprouts, some spinach, some hummus, some carrots on the side, and at night whatever my girlfriend cooks.
Oh,
so that's never the same.
Yeah, definitely. Do you ever throw a grind bar in your pocket and be like, hey?
I haven't had grind bar in a while. That's why I need to see Dave.
Yeah. Well,
but I love grind bar. I used to have them before every workout.
I still do. Well, not currently right now because I'm on a special diet before I go to Peru.
Yeah.
But because of the CBD aspect. But I plan on going back on them pretty much daily when I come back because they're the perfect snack. It was like this, like it's all organic. You get it's high fat.
Yeah.
And you're getting a little bit of caffeine plus the CBD. And I found that really was great before a workout. Like I'd eat that maybe an hour to an hour and a half before my workout.
Yeah.
And I'll have tons of energy. And I thought it was a fantastic supplement. Or it's like when you had it today during like before the podcast.
Right.
Like you're doing keto right now.
Totally.
And it was like the perfect amount of food that's going to get you through until dinner.
And there's like good foods and good ratios. And that's the thing. That's something that's I've learned a lot about now is just like watching my ratios and like what you're eating and when and all that kind of stuff. So my question to you actually based off of that is if you're going to do your workout, like, so you mentioned that smoothie. Now, do you find like, well, I guess I want to ask your timing on that. And then your timing of ingestion afterwards as well. And do you really are you like pretty strict on that, or do you just kind of like let things wave around?
As to like how much time before I work out?
Yes.
Trial and error over time. I know that once I'm done eating, about like 45 to 50 minutes, like I'm good to go.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So if I wait, like when I start working out, I don't think about being hungry.
Right.
But no joke, if I wait 20 minutes past that hour, I'm starving again. And then I have to eat.
So there's a timing thing to it for sure, right?
Yeah. So like just trial and error over time. I'm like 45 minutes after, like I'm good to go. I have to start my workout or else I'll be hungry.
Nice.
Yeah.
How do you recommend people start taking on a diet like this? Because you went cold turkey and maybe that will work for some people, but I don't know if that's going to work for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Like, what would be your recommendation if somebody is hearing this right now and they think this is something they might want to incorporate into their diet or maybe try it for a while?
Yeah.
How can they start?
Definitely don't do it cold turkey. There was a lot of lack of knowledge when I stepped into it.
Right.
Like I was really weak at first because I was eating so much greens and not enough calories, probably eating 900 calories a day, which if you think of it in terms of salad is a lot of salad.
Yeah.
But if you think of it like calories for a daily intake is nothing.
Yeah.
My suggestion, like what I'm telling my parents and my friends is add like a big salad, a big leafy green salad with like tomatoes and onions and just whatever you want in there before every meal. So my concept behind that is the fiber will fill you up. And by the time you get to your potatoes and your meat, you're not as hungry, so you won't eat all of it. Yeah. So if you put a salad before every meal and you start your day with like just implementing more greens, just definitely more greens.
So work in the greens into the diet.
Yeah.
And then eventually wean off of whatever else you were eating. And
you know what? That reminds me of what Adam Hart said. He started to implement just having like literally like a half cup of hemp hearts.
Yeah.
Before any meal, or just speckled throughout the day. Just like don't take anything out of your diet. Just add this. So same kind of concept. Just don't you don't have to change anything.
Yeah.
Just maybe add this.
Yeah.
Or, to eliminate anything. You just add this.
Yeah.
So that's probably a good place to start. I think it probably has more success than saying you can't eat this, and
Yeah.
you can't eat that.
Because as soon as you have that mindset, people are just like, well, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Right.
I was eating 15 chicken breasts a day and 12 eggs for breakfast, and I went cold turkey. So if I can do it, you can like slowly waver off of it.
Yeah. That's pretty hardcore. So were you like a pretty strong, like pretty seriously into
bodybuilding,
weightlifting? Yeah.
So I competed once. And then I did powerlifting after. So I went from the opposite of being really strict on my diet to eating whatever I want so I could be fat and strong.
Right.
But everything that I step into, I will do 100%, even if it's not to be like professional. Like I'm going to do it 100%. If I'm committing to something, like I might as well go all out in it.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
How did you cultivate that mindset? Because a lot of people I find are more timid than that. Not everyone, of course, but some people, they like to like dip their toe in the water and test it out before they go 100% all in. But how did you develop this mindset of just like going all in 100% just like that?
Well, I definitely like dip my toe a little bit before I go all in, right? So like I've tried, like I was playing basketball for 8 years before.
Right.
And then my coach, I hired a personal trainer and he was training me bodybuilding style. And I was like, oh, I kind of like that. And then it took me like 4 months to be like, I want to do a show. Right. And then he trained me for a whole like year and a half.
Okay.
So I could do that show. Yeah.
Nice.
So I definitely try things before. Like right now, I just did my Ironman.
Yeah.
And I have another one in a year that I'm
Ironman.
Yeah, half Ironman.
Half Ironman.
Yeah.
So still,
what
is that?
What does that mean? What are the lengths and distances?
So 1.9 kilometer swim, 90 kilometer bike, and 21.1 kilometer run.
Cool.
Incredible. And how did that go for you?
Good and bad. I hit my goal, but I was injured at the end of it, so I had to run 12K on one leg at the end.
Wow.
But I still hit my goal, which was good.
Tell us about Ironman. Like, tell us about like when you're in the race and you're going through that. What is that experience like?
Just pushing my mind, to be honest. That's the only reason I train. That's the only reason I work out. I don't like really care about, like, obviously if I win, that's really cool. I don't really care about winning. It's literally how far I can push my mind. If I can like run on a treadmill until I hit 100% of my heart rate, like I will try to push that. Like I've deadlifted until I've passed out. I've squatted until I've puked. Just see how far I can go with my mind, how far I can push my body. Mm-hmm. I live for that stuff.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
So when you're in a race and like your whole body's hurting and you're like halfway done and you're like, I got to go for another half still.
Yeah.
Like, what do you tap into to stay motivated and just keep going?
I think about my girlfriend. When I got injured at 12K, I knew I had 12K to go. And usually my left leg gave out, and usually it's my right leg that gives out. So I was like, if my right leg gives out, I'm crawling to the finish line. And the reason I say my girlfriend is because she was diagnosed with breast cancer a year and a half ago.
Yes, right.
And so that's a journey that we've been on together and fighting that. And when I got hurt and I fell, I was like, you know what? She hasn't given up on it, right? She's still fighting cancer every day. She wakes up with a smile and she's doing the best that she can every single day. Why would I stop because one leg gave out?
Wow.
Right?
So you draw on her experience for your own personal strength.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
I was finishing that race for her at the end.
And what's going on with that now? Like What's the situation like?
She's doing a lot better than when she was diagnosed. She's been stable for a while now. We have an amazing group of people that are helping us. We have some cool projects that we're hoping that will make the difference in the next couple of months. Maybe bring her health to a whole other level.
Amazing, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's got to be a pretty testing thing to go through as a couple, and it's amazing that you've supported her through that. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that's been like and what your journey's been like dealing with such a terrible illness?
It's a learning curve, definitely. I think she got sick like 3 months after we started dating.
Wow.
So in my head, you know, like, you don't want to be that douchebag, but it's like, that's your out if you want to, right? Like, you don't have to stay.
Right. So why'd you stay?
Because I loved her. Like, I knew at that time that I loved her. I've known her for over a year, and when we started dating, I was like, yeah, like, I really love her. And that's why I stayed, and I don't regret it at all. Even though through all the ups and downs we went through, like, I'm super happy to be here. Like, we wouldn't be who we are now, and we wouldn't be where we are now without all that.
Sure. Like, yeah, I mean, it's probably impossible to even acknowledge or comprehend, but like, I can only imagine any tragedy like that. And if you're willing to walk through that fire of transformation together, is going to create an experience and a bond and a relationship unlike anything else you've ever had.
Yeah.
Right? And
yeah, because your partner knows she can trust you if you're willing to go through that with them.
Yeah. No, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So do you tap into any of this kind of stuff with, like, you know, with your mission right now, within the you know, obviously the plant-based fitness lifestyle, but do you kind of start to draw into like just bigger pictures of life and things like that?
Well, definitely. So the whole reason why I switched over and I've started focusing more on plant-based fitness is for 2 reasons. Plant-based, obviously, because like when she got sick, she went vegan, and going plant-based made a huge difference in her health. And now, after over a year and a half of us going through that, we definitely see the benefits of going plant-based. And I want to help other people that don't necessarily need to have cancer, but like, you can actually feel better without waiting for you to get sick to change something, right? Like, you can start changing before you actually get sick.
Right.
And the fitness component, I love fitness because fitness, I see it as a controlled environment where you can push to your limits without any consequences. Like, the worst consequences, you hurt yourself, you fall, you twist an ankle or something. But if you're able to push your limits physically and mentally when you're training, you're running on a treadmill, you're swimming, and you have a hard time breathing and you have to calm yourself down, then that falls exactly when you go into real life.
Right.
When life happens and your girlfriend gets sick with cancer, are you going to run away? You're like, nah, I've been training for this for a long time.
Right.
That's why I like fitness.
I think that's an important mindset to have. Like, and one thing I think is fairly common is athletes do have a mindset of like, if something bad does happen in their lives, it's like they have this attitude of like, okay, well, what do I got to do?
Yeah.
You know, how can I overcome this? How can I get better? How can I maybe fix this problem?
Yeah.
I think it was Mario Lemieux. I think he had cancer as well, right? He's a hockey player.
I never followed hockey.
Okay. Either I haven't followed hockey either, but I remember it was an inspiring story because I remember somebody explaining part of the reason why he was able to get over it was simply because of the mindset he had developed by playing professional hockey and working on getting better all the time. So instead of looking at it as like, you know, something that you couldn't overcome, he looked at it almost like a challenge. Like, how can I beat this? And then, of course, he took that hockey drive mentality and put it towards beating cancer, and he did. Yeah. Right? So I feel like that mindset's super important to develop. And that's one thing that I think sports really does for people.
Yeah,
like,
I was thinking about that.
Before you go into that thought, especially when you go through sports that are physically challenging, really like an Ironman. Like when we played football, like it was like physically challenging. Like you're getting beat up. It's really hard. It's tough on the body. You train constantly, but that, I think, has that attitude of like, how do you improve, has benefited me more in my life than I would say anything has.
Well, they're very formative activities now, whether it's sports or dance, where, especially when you're using your body in that way. And I'm sure there's other activities that aren't maybe as physically related as well, but let's say you're going through these experiences where you're trying to improve, you're competing, you get a lot of different types of adversity, like whether it's an injury or perhaps it's like you're losing a game,
lost, or you get benched, right, or whatever.
There's
right?
so many different forms of adversity. Some of it's mental, some of it's physical. So it is an excellent like training ground for life in a lot of ways. And actually, when you're in it, and when you're at like 13 and 14, and it's like super important for you, it is your life. So actually, it is life training in a very good way.
Older. Like a lot of times, these like university athletes who go on a scholarship, like that's all they care about. Like they're at university to play a sport, right? And I was one of those for sure.
So it's interesting. So like how to use these activities for when real tragedy happens, right? And because of that, you're able to, be the man that you are and stand beside her and walk through that with her.
You never see it as it's the end. It's what's the next step? Like what do we got to do?
Right.
Exactly, man. Interesting. So you've been spinning this lifestyle choice into. Would you consider it to be an online business in a sense, or is this something that you're doing like coaching? Like, what are you up to with that?
So I'm not going to do coaching. Like a lot of people call us content creators. Right. I don't really fall into that category. I genuinely document my life. I've been documenting my life for the past 5 years. Nothing is created in a way, like nothing's fake. It's all authentic stories. Everything that I'm writing and that I'm sharing is all from my own life experience.
Right.
Yeah. So you can literally find my whole life for the past 5 years online.
So, and why do you do that? Like, what's the purpose of you doing that?
Because I don't know if you ever had a conversation with someone and you went through something really hard and you don't know what they're going through, but you know that if you open up first, it opens up the door for them to share and for them to be okay with their situation. That's how I see online documentation. By me sharing authentically what I'm going through, other people that would never speak up or that would never have someone to relate to now have that option.
So right, so giving people a chance to talk back. And do you get a lot of messages like saying they appreciate your openness or whatever? Yeah,
those are the best. Those are the reason why I keep posting every day and I spend hours on Instagram every day.
Right.
And I'm spending hours editing YouTube videos.
Right. So you're on YouTube as well. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you're doing the content producing. We're not going to say creating. But you're making all this content.
Yeah.
How much time do you put into that a day?
A day?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, like 4 or 5 hours every day.
So it's like that's your job basically.
Yeah.
Like you look at
much,
it like that's what you do for work.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a pretty big thing that people are interested in getting into. Like you hear about YouTubers doing really well on YouTube or Instagrammers, like being able to sell products and get paid to post on Instagram.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk to us about that world a little bit and what that's like?
For sure. So the old marketing strategies, right? You'll pay for an ad agency to create a TV commercial, put you on billboards. Like that agency is going to hire models, hire makeup artists, and pay everybody. But now that everybody's attention is on their phone, like you can skip all that, meaning like the budget is there, right? When you contact the company, they have the budget for it. So by you creating your brand and having values that you need to respect when you're creating your brand, if you're doing it just for free stuff and just to like be famous, it's going to go wrong really fast. Then when you reach out to companies that you want to work with, depending like what it's for, if you stand for, if you love what they're standing for, if you just love their product and you feel that their product will make a difference in the world, like whatever that might be.
So promoting brands that you believe in.
Exactly. Well, that's the whole concept, right? But like a lot of people will step into that world just because they want to take a picture with like a bag of M&Ms because M&Ms is a big brand and people will feel like they're cool because they're working with a big brand when actually they bought the bag and they just tagged the company. It's all about
people
image.
Do sort of like fake Instagram influencing.
Yeah.
Well, they'll actually do something like that just to pretend that they're bigger than they are. Is that what it is?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Right. It's all a front, right? On Instagram.
And what's the point of that? Why would they do that? To hopefully attract other brands in?
Yeah, that's one of it.
Yeah.
Ego, one of it.
Yeah.
I fell into that really hard too when I first started. Definitely attracting other brands. There's different techniques for you to work with different brands, right? For all the people that are listening that want to be Instagram influencers, you want to work with a specific brand. You can't just approach a company and be like, hey, I want to work with you guys and I'll, post some free stuff if you give me some clothing. You go buy the clothes, you create content for them, you show how much value you can provide to the company, you send them the package, they're like, oh, we love it, we want to work with that person.
You send them a package?
Yeah, so like I'm not gonna name any brands, but like I've done some photo shoots for some brands, some outdoors brand. You send them the package And then if they like it and you want to work with them and they want to work with you, they'll reach out back.
Okay, so you actually do the work first. You're like, okay, I'm gonna go. I like this brand. I think I connect with them. I think I can help them, and I think we're aligned or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
And have to be aligned.
And then,
for sure.
but you, instead of just saying, approaching them like, hey, come in, like, let's do this.
Yeah.
You go and do it to a degree.
Yeah.
Share with them what you got so far, and if they connect with it and want to do more, like, how do you bridge that gap? Is it sometimes you hit it and it just works, or sometimes they just no, it didn't work and they just dismiss it, or how do you bridge that? That's like the key element.
Yeah.
In this thing.
So it depends how many followers, how much engagement, obviously, that you have. Getting the word out in your community and your niche market that you're doing is huge. You have to create connections in your community, whether like it's all Vancouver based or it's across the world. You want to focus on the vegan aspect, you got to reach out to people across the world that are like hashtagging vegan community and all that stuff. So you have to spend time on your phone and connect with people that are like-minded.
Interesting. So, okay, so there is like a legit way of going about it, and there are sort of like fake influencers as well, right?
Yeah, there's now like have you heard of Vitago before? It's a superfood blend.
No.
Oh, so I now work with that brand because I've been ambassador for them for 2 years, made a huge difference in my girlfriend's health, and I've stepped into the company to help them bring it to the next level. But now that I'm a part of that world, I see people messaging us. So now I'm on the other side of the table. So it's really interesting to see like people like, I just want free stuff. It's never like I want to provide value.
And so they do it to get free things a lot of the time, not even for like paid advertising.
No, most of the time it's free until you reach a certain level. Everything is free.
What would you say that level is? Do you know? What's your ballpark on that?
I started getting paid like at like 13,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But obviously, the more you have, the more you can charge.
Right.
Yeah.
No, this is so curious to me because you see this phenomenon popping up obviously within social, and it's been like this for a few years now.
Yeah.
And I am just curious because I don't know anything about that, for lack of a better word, business model.
Yeah.
And it's just curious to kind of get more details out of it. So.
Sure. The concept is that you want to work with people that have attention in your niche market. Right. So before you reach out to an influencer, they might have 100,000 followers, but if all their followers are in Australia and you have a company in Vancouver, well, there's no point of working with them, right? Because they're not going to drive traffic your way. So it's definitely checking the influencer stats, where the people are from, the rate of engagement. There's tools like Social Blade that you can look at their followers, demographic, where they're from.
Social Blade.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Before actually like reaching out and working with them.
Right.
Yeah. It's all about attention.
Right. So you can find out if they're a relevant influencer for example, if we wanted to do one for Float House, we could go to Social Blade and like look at their followers and see how many like people are from like Vancouver. More or less.
So there's Social Blade and there's another website that you can do. I forgot what the other one is, but it'll give you basically like the stats, or you can genuinely reach out to the influencer.
But they might not even know, right? Like,
if they have a business page on Instagram, it tells you all your stats.
It tells you where everyone's from. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
So like me, it'll tell me like 60% of my people are from Vancouver, and it'll tell me that like 80% of my people are between 25 and 34.
Right.
It'll give you all those stats. Yeah.
Okay.
So just ask for a screenshot of that.
When you make so basically I've been like working my Instagram just to support our own things.
Yeah.
Right? Everything that we have going on here.
Yeah.
So like how do you I guess most of my question. I lost my train of thought. But so okay, if somebody were to approach like a brand that like locally, what would you say is like the best way to find out if that influencer is a good fit for that company?
There's a bunch of websites you can go on and analyze their whole social media platforms.
Right. Oh, so basically what you're just talking about.
Yeah. Because you need to know if they have really good engagement. If they have like 50,000 followers, but they get 50 likes per pictures and 2 comments, it's not relevant, but it's not going to bring you any value. So you want to work with someone that is going to bring you value.
Okay. So I guess what I'm getting at is like, how is it effective? Is it an effective form of advertising, like for companies?
For me, being on this side of the conversation, I truly believe that yes, because I have from paid ads sold products for companies.
Right. So it can be legit.
Yeah, you can definitely bring value and revenue back to that company if your following is relevant to their business.
Right.
Because if I post a picture with a leather coat, nobody's gonna buy it because some of my following is vegan.
Right.
It wouldn't make sense.
Can you, if you're able to, comment on like what's been like, just from this realm of what you're doing, this business side, because it is interesting. It is an interesting thing. Is like what's been like the most successful, would you say, campaign or product or association that you've established? Do you feel for yourself personally?
I would say with Vitago and Ergogenics, which Vitago I work with now, and Ergogenics, which is my sponsor for sports nutrition for my protein. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And like, are you able to? Do they kind of? I mean, do you kind of just assess the success rate based off of like the fact that they're willing to keep working with you, or do you actually get to see?
You have stats. You know how
okay.
many tubs are sold. You know how many people use your code.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. So that's why you get customized codes to people, so you know where
Right.
the traffic is coming from.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Very cool. Sweet. So like,
and
where
you're
do
doing
you?
a similar thing on YouTube as well, right?
Yeah. So it's all everywhere on every platform.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are some rules for people who are trying to get started on YouTube who increase their following, that sort of thing?
Start with what you have. That's the biggest thing. From all the messages I receive, like, I don't have money to buy a good camera, buy a good mic, and do all that. My first camera that I started filming on, I used to work at Subway, and it was a lost and found camera that's been there for a year. And my boss was like, you can take it home. It's been there for a long time. And I started YouTube with that.
Interesting.
Crappy old camera, those construction photos on it, and yeah.
How's your YouTube following? What's it at now?
It's 1,300 something.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're still growing.
I'm still
now,
growing
okay.
YouTube. Yeah, it's
Right.
a harder process because people have to commit 8-10 minutes of their day to watching you on video. Instagram is really quickly consumable, right?
Sure. Yeah. So you have to make longer content, give a lot of value within that content. So it's
Yeah.
it's just a longer game.
Value, entertaining. It's a lot more work for YouTube. If you really want to like make it in YouTube, pretty much to make daily videos, which involves you filming all day or for several hours and then editing for four hours.
Right. So it becomes a full-time job essentially.
Yeah,
if you
pretty
really
much.
want to do it.
Exactly.
I guess unless you're like basically have some sort of celebrity status already and you can just do whatever you want
And pay people to do
Like,
the back work.
The Rock jumped on YouTube and in 2 days had 1 million subscribers.
Who was it?
The Rock?
Right.
Dwayne
The
Johnson? Yeah.
Yeah, well,
He jumped on
probably
it 2
do
days
that.
after he had 1 million
That's
subscribers.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well,
That's
it's so
cool.
so awesome for him because the thing is, again, like you said, Mike, he could get somebody to do all the back end work for him.
Oh,
So
he
literally-
probably has a team.
Yeah.
For his
has-
social media.
It's called a $5 production or something like that because he came to the States with $5 in his pocket and he called it the $5 production.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then he's got a team that does his social, like Gary Vee, like he's another
Yeah.
good example, right? Like
Yeah.
that he probably puts out something almost every day,
Well, he does.
and
Multiple things.
Yeah.
like he has people following around with cameras, and he's got like his own little production company.
Yeah, he doesn't edit a video or anything like that, which is
That would be
the
the
way
way
to go. Yeah.
Right?
So much time.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: how do you find balance in all this? Then, like, will you stockpile things that way you can go and take a week off and not do that? Like, how do you disconnect? How do you reset? Or do you right now?
And I don't.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time with balance, to be honest. Just because since December I started training for my Ironman, it's 15 to 20 hours a week just of training, and I was working a full-time job and doing social media on top of it. So like with my girlfriend, I was like, hey, like she sleeps in because obviously she's trying to recover. So I spend time with her at night. But like I'll wake up at 5:30, do my training, do all my work until I spend time with her at night. Social life, I don't really hang out with people just because for now I don't see the value in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's interesting.
mean,
like
this
Jordan
is-
Peterson,
Sorry,
says like
go.
in your 20s, this is one of his little things that he talks about. It's like, you need to find your limits. Like just you work as much as you can to see where, for lack of a better word, your breaking point is. And when you're when you hit a wall of sorts, you're just like, okay, this has gone too far, and I need to bring. Maybe you might need to bring some more social relationships in your life to have that balance. And until you hit that point, you're going to keep going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
what's
And then
been
you
really
kind of
effective?
learn your thing that way.
Right. For me was joining a mastermind group or a men's group of some type.
Yeah.
Like that was really effective. Having a mastermind group.
Yeah, I did that with Mentalks.
Oh, you did the Man Talks mastermind?
Yeah, like last year, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. How'd it go for you?
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
Because I'm in the Man Talks mastermind as well. I just finished my group as well.
Okay.
But like our group became really, really tight and really real and effective and strong. Like our group was like so solid by the end of it because we had some guys drop off, but by the end, the guys who stuck around were just really all in and really cared and showed up and show up to the meetings and give it
Curates.
their
It's
best.
like a wine.
And I found having that is a great replacement, not a replacement for social life, but like you can have some really interesting and honest conversations where maybe your friends might not give you exactly a straightforward answer.
Yeah.
But the guys in a group like that will, because they're not necessarily your friend.
Yeah.
But they'll tell you like how they see it, as opposed to like a friend who might soften it or twist it or change
Butter
it a little
it up.
bit. Right. Yeah, I found that's really useful for that sort of thing. And, how was your experience with that?
I really liked it for the time that I did it. I unfortunately had to leave like halfway, 3/4 of the way, because I had to redirect the fund for my girlfriend.
Right.
But for the time that I was in, I really liked it, and I still, talk to all these guys too.
Right. That's
Totally.
cool.
Yeah.
So you found value in it.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
And it's I think it's something totally worthwhile. But I mean, interesting world, man. I mean, like it's funny how. What's really cool about it is that you can, live your passion, like, living a healthy lifestyle and sharing what you know with the world and your gifts, and you can actually still earn a living from it, which is like, it's pretty sweet, man. It's like, it's a nice option that you can pursue, especially in your 20s. Like, when you don't have a family and kids and a mortgage and all those things, it's like, give it a shot, right? Because it's like, that could be something that earns you a living, and it could be a lot more fun than maybe sitting at a desk all day.
Yeah. I was thinking about that today when I was on my run. I was like, I've never worked an office job. I only worked like construction, retail, and now from home. So I'm kind of like sad that I missed out on that part to see what all the fuss is about.
The office job? Oh, the joys of sitting in a cubicle and staring at a desktop all day?
It's hard to hate something when you've never done it, right?
Yeah.
Just hear bad things about it.
I think I would get pretty squirrely.
Maybe.
I am.
But you know what I mean?
I moved this chair like 100 times.
I mean, here's the thing. I think it depends on the office and the company and the culture and what you're doing, what the project is. Like, if you have this team that come and works together in the office. So here's the thing. A lot of companies now, like, have cubicles is rare, depending, like, unless you're in like I don't know, like telemarketing or something, you're kind of at this desk. But now, like, the office cultures are very different. You know what I mean? They're like more open space format. Like,
and if you're part of
departments
a team,
are like mixed and muddled in together, and like you're all doing this thing towards this goal of whatever. Like
And so if you're part of a team that's like doing something really cool, I could totally see that, like the satisfaction there. So that's one thing.
Humans are tribal, man. So if you're on like team corporate X or whatever, and,
like
and you're all working to that, then you're gonna love it.
EA's campus before.
Right. Oh, that's insane. Me too. I've been there.
It's like wow, this is
like
a pretty awesome place.
It's like an amusement park.
Yeah, well, it has a gym, it has playgrounds, it has like rest areas, like places to eat. Like,
dude, they have outdoor fields, basketball courts, like everything. They probably have a pool. Like, they have so much stuff.
Companies are getting better at building community in their business, like Sage, Lululemon.
Sure.
Vega.
Huge.
Lulu, I know Lulu's big on that, and like I know one thing that they do is they get all of their employees to go through Landmark, right?
Yep. Which I just came out of.
Like, you just came out of that
like a month ago. Like
And how did that go for you?
It was amazing. Yeah, there was obviously they had a lot of bad rep before walk. I've heard a lot of.
Why'd they have a bad rep?
Just people were like, it's a cult. That was the main comment. Yeah, so people say, but a good friend of mine.
And are those people who have never done it?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So a good friend of mine was like, I want you to do this. I feel it's gonna make a difference in your life and in what you're going through right now. And I trust this guy with my life. So I was like, man, if you're saying it's good, I'm gonna do it.
And did it live up to the hype?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was a lot more than what I expected.
What would you say you got out of it? What are the big things you got out of it?
I create a lot of stuff in my head. I create a lot of stories. I just keep catching myself every day, like no joke, like around 50 times a day, where nothing has happened, and I'm walking and I pass someone and they're really close to my shoulder, and I'm like, what an arrogant guy, he didn't even move, blah, blah. And I'm like, nothing happened, the guy just walked by me.
And you have no idea what his intention was, or
exactly.
if he maybe didn't see you or whatever, right?
Yeah, and you never know what like people are going through as well. I thought about that too. I was like, maybe this guy's having a bad day, and I'm just like all up in my head about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's another thing too. Like a lot of people, like if they can, you don't know. Like again, like you said, the tough spots people can be in. You don't know. And almost everybody goes through hardship, right? Everybody will go through hardship, and they could be going through it currently, or they have gone through it. Something hard could have happened to them or a family member, or they're going through it like now, or that they will be going through those things, right? And it's like, you wonder why some people are so like kind of crabby or grumpy. Well, maybe there's something else deeper going on there that you can't really see past the surface, right?
I think undoubtedly, whether they're aware of it or not, like why, if everything is going amazing in your life and you feel connected and empowered and, just doing what you really want to do and have a good perspective, like given your health and your family's health and things are rolling along, or even if not, like you're in a challenging scenario, but yet you're not this grumpy, angry person right now, or pissed off. You're like, no, okay, let's.
At least not at this exact moment.
That's true.
No, I'm pretty smiling all the time.
But I'm just kidding.
But let's, you got to get through this. I mean, there's different types of mentalities and attitudes, right?
Yeah.
And so obviously there's something going on.
Well, one thing I think is really interesting is this whole area of shadow and shadow work, because the shadow is something that everybody has, but most people don't show and aren't even aware of. Yeah. So, but it is an innate part of human nature. Like humans have the capacity to do terrible, or they could do pretty much anything. A lot of people think that they don't have a shadow side, but they really do. In fact, Jordan Peterson also talks about how like soldiers, when they get PTSD, a lot of the time it's not because of something that happened to them. It's because of something that they did to somebody else. And they didn't realize that they had that inner monster inside of them. And the thing about the shadow too is it's one of these things that if you don't start to incorporate it and integrate it and start becoming aware of the shadow side, which is triggered by a lot of times negative emotions, negative judgments about other people. That's an indicator of shadow, or also resentment, things that you resent in your life. And it's not about, if you have resentment, it's where do you have resentment. And like the thing about it is if you can start following that, it can give you an inclination, because the thing about the shadow is it's completely unconscious. We're unaware that it's there.
Right.
And if it becomes conscious, it's actually not your shadow anymore. And that's part of the integration process. And with my coaching clients, this is one thing that I'm really working on, because so many people focus on the positivity aspect and just, that positive, and there's something to that. But if you're not getting down to the things that are really causing the problems in their life, which are usually the things that people don't want to talk about because of shame and guilt or anger, or if their fear of being judged because they have certain dark thoughts, if you don't get to those things, you're not really gonna fix anything.
Well, I think Carlos de Leon, who we did a couple podcasts with, and Andy did the Man Talks event with. It was all about the masculine shadow, and it was awesome. And actually, we're going to release those audios on this. So
it's released on. Well, we did it to everyone who attended that night.
Right, but I think we're going to put it on Vancouver Reel, though.
Yeah, do we have it?
We'll get him, but we're going to do it.
Let's do it. Well, just contact.
Regardless, what he was saying was, if you want to start to learn what your shadow is, look at what disgusts you. Look at what makes you angry and pissed off and upset. And the reason those things bother you is probably because they're within you and you're not acknowledging that. And so just like when you get triggered that way for whatever reason, it's a good indicator of where to start to look. Disgust is a good one. If something disgusts you.
Well, that and also like again, like the things that we see, the traits in other people that we label as repugnant, faulty, or reprehensible, or disgusting, or all the things that we really despise, especially quality and trait-wise in other people, usually because that's something that we have repressed. And that's such a deep thing to think about. So think about it. Think about next time you're judging somebody about how they act or how they show up in life. It's a good chance that's in you, right? And so many people don't want to admit that. Oh, I know. I was talking about shadow. Sorry to keep going with this, but I was talking about shadow to this one woman in an ayahuasca retreat, and she, I was talking about how the dark side of human nature, and she was just like, oh no, speak for yourself. I could never I could never act that way. I could never do, and I was just like, really? Then you just don't know yourself well enough yet.
Right.
I didn't say that to her, but I just let her like have that moment. But I mean, but it was just like people aren't willing to admit or accept that part is within them as well, right? And I think it's super critical to look at. Like we look at all the bippity boppity, yay, let's get happy in personal development, right? But it's like it is that shadow stuff, which is really, Carl Jung said, he's like, the first step towards enlightenment is to encounter the shadow.
Right.
So, anyways, enough about shadow stuff.
Yeah, I definitely have shadow for sure.
Yeah, well, everybody does. Yeah. Everybody does. That's the thing, and it's actually okay and it's normal. But the thing is, you don't want to be run by it, right? You want to make sure that
bring the light of consciousness to it.
You want to shine a light on it, and then make it unconscious if you can.
Yeah.
Or at least like be aware that that's a triggering thing for you. And then once you have that awareness piece, like you were talking about after your seminar, like that's when you can start, not reacting to that and maybe responding. Right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So that's interesting that you did that. And has it been playing out in other aspects of your life right now?
Definitely in goal setting.
How so?
Just knowing that I can create whatever I want. Like I knew that I could do whatever I wanted before from a physical point of view, because that's been my whole life, has been fitness. Yeah. But to actually create whatever I want, whether that's online from a business perspective, what I'm creating with Vitago right now, and this whole movement that we have coming up, I'm super like.
Do you feel very motivated?
Yeah.
What flipped the switch for you to have that belief? Now, maybe don't go into specifics of the course, so that way you don't ruin it for people. But like, was it an activity that happened that you're just like, damn? Like, was there something like that? Like, how did that belief kind of change for you?
Did you guys do the course?
I've not done.
I've done another one called through PSI Seminars.
Okay.
Which is similar. It's an offshoot of. All these people came from this one company, so they're different offshoots. But I went through all of their stuff, but I haven't done Landmark. But anyways.
So I was gonna say, like, the moment of there's an exercise where you have to be silent, and you're just all up in your head. And he explained some stuff before, and then you just click at one point that the reason why you're angry or you complain about certain things is that you gave the meaning to whatever that thing is, because there's actually nothing there. Like if you backtrack on what makes you angry, you realize that like nothing actually happened. You created that in your own head. You gave it a meaning. Like something happened, but you gave it a bad meaning.
Right.
Yeah. And once like that clicked, I was like, wow.
So having more choice over your thoughts in a sense.
Yeah, more choice over the meaning that I give to things.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. For one thing that frustrated me before was like someone texts you back and forth and you're tired of texting and you call them and they don't pick up. And you're like, I know you're there. You just texted me, and that would frustrate me.
Totally.
And now I'm like, you know what? Maybe something happened, drop her phone, went to the bathroom, whatever.
Right.
Like, why am I getting angry about that? Nothing actually happened. So
You know what I stopped doing? I stopped apologizing for replying late to emails.
Yeah.
Because like I used to be like, hey, sorry for taking a long time to reply. I stopped doing that. I'm like, no, this is just how long it took me to get back to you.
Yeah.
I stopped making like an apology about it and just being like, no, this is, and that doesn't mean that you're not valuable as a person, but it's just like, I don't owe anybody an apology because I didn't respond to them in a 24-hour period.
And like, I'll look at emails and I'll be like, where am I at right now? And what is this about? And like, do I need to do this right now? And do I feel like doing this right now?
Yeah. You know where I got this? It's pretty ruthless, but I got it from the Aubrey Marcus book, Own the Day.
Okay.
And he just talked about how he handles emails, and he's like, he has a whole system for like saying, okay, priority, I'll recheck this, or just don't even. And he's like, if it doesn't get like one of these stars or whatever, he's like, it just doesn't get answered, and like. I'm starting, like, I feel a little bit bad, but I'm starting to not reply to some emails. I'm just like, I'm not replying.
Right.
Like, I'm just like, I don't. It's just like, and that's happened to me. Like I've sent out emails before, and I didn't get responses, and then of course I would make up all these stories about why they didn't respond to me, and I would get all upset and be like, how dare they not respond? Right. Again, not knowing at all why they didn't respond.
Yeah.
But the truth is, it's like some of the emails I get these days, I'm just like, I don't know what to say to this, and I'm just like, I don't want whatever it is that you're selling, so I'm not going to write you back.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Or sometimes if you reply, it turns into a conversation, and it goes back on top of your feed.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm not ready to have a conversation. I was answering so that I could answer later.
Yeah, and I do that too sometimes. Like what I'll do is I'll leave it unread for a while. Yeah. As a reminder to go do.
You know how much
that
that freaks people out because they give a meaning to that because they're like, he read it, but he's not answering.
Right.
Well, they can't see that on email though, which is nice.
Yeah, no, but like on Instagram
or on text messages as well. This is like delivered.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I get it, and one thing this is a new little take. I'm not sure how I can spin it into the email conversation, but I have this idea I've been playing with about if people, I used to have trouble remembering people's names.
Yeah.
But I remember people's names who are really important to me. So I think this new attitude I have is if somebody, if I don't remember or if somebody doesn't remember your name, it's actually your fault because it's like you weren't memorable enough to be remembered.
Sure.
And that's kind of a harsh thing to think about, but it's like I meet a lot of people and I have a lot of interactions and it's like I can't possibly remember. So it's like, and if somebody wants to get at somebody, you have to get their attention somehow. And it's like if you're not memorable enough for them to even remember your name, it's like, well, obviously you're not that important to them.
Yeah.
Ouch.
These truths.
That's how the modeling industry is too, right?
Right. Yeah.
How stand out?
We'll start to get towards wrapping this up. I'm curious, like how do you feel like that work and those experiences have influenced just like how you approach different things? If there's any off the top of your head.
That's not the end when someone says no.
Right.
I was there for 3 months, did 10, 15 castings every day, and I got like 5 jobs.
How do you deal with rejection? I guess this is the same question, but
like for modeling, is like I want to book a job just because I want to book a job. But so out of like 15 times 5 every day times 3 months, that's a lot of no's for like 5 yeses.
Right.
So you just brush it off because there's a lot more coming, right? And I feel like it's the same in life. There's a lot more coming. A lot more opportunities coming. So when it's something you truly care about, like it hurts, but there's a reason they said no. They didn't say no because like it's the end of it. It's like not right now. It's not the right time. Or I didn't bring enough value to for example, reaching out to the company. I didn't bring enough value to the company.
Or you simply could not be the right fit in their mind. And and that's not nothing personal. Like they don't have a dislike towards you. It's just that he's not the right fit for some reason.
Yeah. So same modeling is like you don't have the right look for this job.
Right.
Simple as that. It's not that we hate you. You have blonde hair. We want brown hair.
Is that something that you learned through this experience, or is that something that did someone teach you that, or like kind of speak to you about that and coach you through it, or were you always like that?
No, definitely when I got into the industry, it was really hard. I was like, man, I'm not booking any jobs. It's been like when I was modeling in Toronto, I was like, it's been 2 months. I didn't book anything. My agent's like, that's just the industry. You'll book one, then you'll make money for like 2 months, and you won't book anything for 2 months.
So that's sort of par for the course for that industry.
Yeah,
right.
The artistic, creative life, right? You don't get a yes all the time.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
Do you feel that's kind of like influenced just your general way of walking through this life of like, just having a bit more flexibility and flow and like trust almost to the degree okay, things are not where I want them right now, but it doesn't mean they don't get there. Like, do you feel that's like kind of helped you towards that part? And is that
definitely, things are going to get better. Things are going to work out. I've had some pretty traumatic experiences before where I almost like took my life away because I didn't think that there would be a better future.
Right. So like saw a dark hole that you couldn't get out of. Kind of thing.
And then once you realize that you would miss out on so much and that there can actually be a better day. So when my girlfriend got sick, I was like, you know what, we're going to get out of it, and it's going to be a good day. And
well, I think you're a good man and a strong man for going through that, because
thank you.
I know personal family illness is a really, really hard thing to deal with, and I'm sure your girlfriend is extremely grateful to have you. So I mean, of course you're doing it because that's the kind of guy you are. But it's like, I mean, I think that deserves some recognition for what you're putting yourself through, because it's definitely not easy. So.
No, and thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem, man. No problem.
Cool.
Is there anything else you want to get out there today?
No, I think like we talked about a lot of important stuff, and I feel like I hope people get something out of this.
I think they will.
Yeah, I hope get some value.
Cool. I think typically with these podcasts, people, they like to listen in, and I like to throw like a lot of, especially at the beginning, we threw a lot of like information in there, and I think that I think there's some value in there, and I think it's a great story as well. So, awesome, brother.
How can people, like, what's the easiest way to get a hold of you on your Instagram?
It's my favorite. No, Instagram at Luckie Lifestyle, LUCKIE, and on YouTube, same thing, Luckie Lifestyle.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions, luckylifestyle@gmail.com.
Perfect.
Always answering emails. I haven't gone to the prioritizing emails, so I answered everybody for now. But there's not too many emails for now.
He's a lot nicer than I am.
Take advantage, people. Take advantage.
He doesn't reply to my email.
Of this young, naive ex-model.
Not naive. He's just full of energy. He's plant-based and healthy and just ready to go.
It's true.
I'm just like, Nope, delete.
That's your meat. That's the meat sluggishness of you. You're like,
I don't know if it's I think it's more the age more than anything. But
yeah, I know. I'm just joking, man.
Anyways, thanks a lot for coming on, man. We should do it again, like a year, 6 months or a year. Come back on, and we'll have another chat.
See where your journey's at.
Yes.
Yeah, give us an update.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
Well, and of course, if you like what you heard today, give us a like, review, a share, a comment, all that social media engagement, which is so important these days. If you want to come float, use the promo code Vancouver Real. Get 20% discount on a single float. Andy Zaremba for all your Andy Zaremba needs. AndyZaremba.com for all your Andy Zaremba needs. At Andy Zaremba across all handles except for Twitter. I'm on Twitter, but I don't use Twitter. And Mike, what about you?
Andy Zaremba. Andy Zaremba. Andy Zaremba.
That's right. Subconscious.
That's right.
Now we're in your mind, folks. Now you're going to go to sleep and you're going to see this.
Nothing for me right now, everybody, but I love you. Thanks for listening. And we look forward to our next conversation in your earbuds. So until then.
Para el ben de Torres.
Para el ben de toros.
De toros.
Something like that.
To whatever it is.
We'll work on a Spanish. Yeah, to whatever it is. And till next time.
See you next time.
To whatever it is. I'm going to play the outro, but I'm going to turn us off. So
all right,
we won't
cool.
talk through it this time.